existence in the universe is kind of thrust upon us, like we're just kind
Hmm.
of tossed into the void, and it's like, here you go.
Yeah.
And it's
Have
like,
fun.
and it's that idea that you're kind of talking about, where it's like the same God who threw us in here is also like, all right, now come back, you know? And
Yeah.
it's like, well, you put us here, and there's all this crap that you want us to do, and like you're asking us to do, and then on top of that, there's all these other things that we have to deal with, and you're
Hmm.
saying that we have to like also like you're but also you did it for us. Like you did it to us, but you also did it for us. Is
Hmm.
like the question. And I think when you were raised Christian, you don't really look at it that way. You look at it like, well, God loves us, and He made me, and I love Him, and I go to church, and I sing this song,
Yeah.
and it's very fun. Welcome to The Crunch, the only podcast that knows the truth about Benjamin Franklin. It's your boy, Ethan.
And I'm Patrick, and this is the podcast where we have set out to figure out one question: Are Catholics funny?
Can they?
Can Catholics be funny?
Could
It's
we?
been 7 years. We'll see.
We'll see. Jury is out. I'm not supposed to say that. You told me not to say jury's out because it's a cliche. But you know
Yeah,
what?
but you could say it like this time, but now you can't say it again.
I know that's true. Man, that's hard to not say though. It's
Like
hard to not go
we
back.
can't make a cliche part of our new thing we say. You know what I
Mhm,
mean?
mhm.
Because then it's like, oh, why are you saying a cliche every week?
Yeah. Um, what what's so I am struggling with something
What's that?
pod podcast related,
Oh,
and I am having a hard time because we just recorded an episode on Tuesday, and
yeah.
it's been less than 48 hours since that podcast.
And we have to podcast again.
We have to podcast again, 2 episodes tonight, and
Yes.
I nothing has happened to me since our last episode. Nothing There's nothing new, there's nothing interesting. I have an accusation for you, but there's nothing new there.
Sure.
I feel ill-equipped, ill-prepared, and uh, uh,
Underappreciated.
underdeveloped, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, since we talked on Tuesday, I've called every parish in the Diocese of Orlando.
To ask them if we
That's
can do
something.
a live show in for
Yes.
their youth
No.
group? Oh,
No.
imagine.
No, I did. Do you want to scheme live on the podcast? Because I
I
can tell you
do.
something I
Scheme,
learned how to
scheme,
do.
scheme,
All right.
scheme, scheme, scheme,
All right.
scheme.
So I learned, I don't know why I didn't tell you this before. I
Mhm.
learned how to data mine this week. Do you
What
know
do
what
you
data mining is?
I mean, I'm aware of the term, and I can make some associations, but tell me what you think data mining is.
I may be embellishing a little bit,
Yeah, I
but
think
I found a little application. Okay, so part of my job is to call businesses, right? And so
yeah,
I have to prospect, which means I have to go find them and I have to write down their name and phone number. And that takes a
right.
very long time.
You figured out how to pay for a lead generation service is what you've done.
No,
Oh, okay.
I'm not paying any money.
Okay. You figured out how to
Yeah,
get leads for free.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do was so part of my new job at Decided Excellence is trying to get parishes to sign up for parish magazines, which is
Mhm.
a cool thing that if you want to learn, if you want your parish to have its own magazine, to reach out to people, DM me because
Go to
I can make that happen.
patreon.com/thecrunch and sign up for $5 a month, and we'll tell you how to how to get parish magazines.
You could even help. Anyway, it's long story, but I want to my goal is to get 7 magazines in the Diocese of Orlando in the next year. So next calendar year I want 7 magazines in the Diocese of Orlando.
Nice.
And so I was like, what better way to do that than to call all of the pastors in the Diocese of Orlando? And so
Good point.
I said, am I just going to sit here and write down, handwrite in calligraphy all of the phone number? No. And so I Googled how to scrape data off a website. And I
Nice.
found an app that you can just with a little bit of like know-how,
Mhm.
you can do it. And so here's my plan.
Little pixie dust.
Unrelated. So I did it, and instead of taking usually took me 30 minutes to write down 30 businesses, I got in 5 minutes plus the 2 hours of figuring out how to set it up. So I'm in time debt right now, but
Mhm.
it took me 5 minutes to get all 93 parish names and phone numbers. And then I got all the parish names, phone numbers, and pastors' names from the Diocese of St. Augustine. So if you're in the Diocese of St. Augustine, I'm calling your dad.
Oh,
So yeah, uh huh. Anyway,
you uh you know what you could do? for a much lower rate than what you are worth in your own time. You could pay a woman in the Philippines to do that for like $5 an hour. Stimulate
No,
the
but then
old Southeast Asian economy
but
the
then it would
the,
take
the
then it would
right
cost
way.
me then it would
You
cost
know what I'm
me
saying?
10 yeah, yeah, yeah. But then it would cost me $10 to get 60 names instead of
Hmm.
$0 to get 93
But
names.
how much is your time worth, Patrick? How much is an hour of your time worth?
Well, now that I know how to do it, I mean, I don't know how much an hour my time's worth, but now that I know how to do it, I might as
I
well do it
do.
instead of pay someone else. How much is my time worth, Ethan?
It
How much
priceless.
money do you think I make in an hour?
How much money do I think you make in an hour?
Yeah.
At your full potential or at kind of like where you are now, which is
Yeah,
sort of
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah. What's my
25%.
opportunity cost? Dude, they rent podcast equipment at my co-working space for $20 an hour. Do you think we can write that off as a loss because our podcasting equipment just sits? We could be making $20 an hour on it.
But it's in our houses.
Is that how opportunity cost works?
No, we don't run a we're not running a charity here. There's not people coming in and
Hmm.
out.
Fair
I
enough.
don't I don't want any slovenly young male to come into my house and use my podcasting equipment,
Can
you
I
know?
can I count my having podcast equipment as a donation in kind to myself?
Can I apply for the homesteader's exemption on my podcast equipment?
Anyway,
Please.
go on. What do you think I'm worth in an hour? Please tell me.
Okay. Well, there's for business or for
There's
pleasure?
two schools of thought. For business or for pleasure, whatever. I don't know, man. You pick. I don't care.
For business, minimum wage. But
Okay,
for
fair
but
enough.
for pleasure, which and let's be clear here, I just mean talking to you. There's no amount of money I wouldn't pay to spend an hour with
Wow.
you. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Unless it was over $50 an hour, and then I would and then I would not spend it anymore. So
That's $50, babe. I'll take it.
yeah, put
All
that
right.
put that in the
Put that in
bank.
your private smoke. And so
That
now
could
that
that could
now that
pay
I know, do
10
you
that could pay
remember
10 Filipino women
for an hour?
for an
Do you
hour.
know? Okay. Do you know? Remember that one time that you said you scraped the data, the emails off of the Focus website? Did you actually do that, or did you just
No,
write all
my
the names?
wife copied and pasted all of them into a
Yeah.
spreadsheet.
Okay. So here's what I propose we do.
Propose.
We do scrape the data off of the Focus website, and we send emails to all the Focus missionaries. If you're a Focus missionary, we're calling you, and we're gonna say, "Hey, bring us to your Newman Center so we can teach your kids how to date."
Dude,
Because
it's
we're
free. It would be so easy to I think we have a real shot here.
dude, I'm telling you right now, if you wanted all the names, phone numbers, and emails of all the Focus missionaries, I could get that to you in the next 10 minutes.
Wow.
I that's how good I got at doing this.
You're a good man.
Yeah,
I
it's
think uh,
great.
I think
So
we
it's a
should
little
have
Chrome extension. It's just a Chrome
just a
extension.
Chrome extension.
And you click because like all the website data is like categorized. It's like heading one, phone number, email address, right? So like a computer can read it and go, oh, this is the email address under header one, and then it can put it in a spreadsheet and go, here you
Mhm.
go, and then you can send it to a Nigerian prince, and he can pretend to be Father John Bosco at Ascension. He can email a bunch of old ladies and take $2,000 from them
Did
each.
this happen?
That did happen.
Yeah.
One of my grandma's good friends got sent $2,000 in gift cards to Nigeria because she fell for one of those
No.
scams. I know, it's
No.
awful, it's
We
so bad.
dude, that's the generation that somehow that generation is the most
That's the
economic.
"these kids can't use a rotary phone" generation,
Right, that's the
you
generation that's
know?
somehow the most economically successful generation in the history of humankind, and
Yet
yet,
they're up there.
without fail, they're the ones that are sending gift cards to Nigerian princes.
I
Come
scanned
on.
a document today, and I
Mhm.
thought, "Man, I haven't been asked by an octogenarian how to scan a document in 2 years." That's not true, since I left my job.
Yeah.
But I was like giggling to myself because I was like, uh, the same person. These kids can't send a fax. Also, Patrick, can you help me scan this as a PDF?
Mhm. Yeah, you don't get to vote unless you know what a JPEG is. You don't get to vote unless you have a valid ID, boom,
Yeah,
conservative. Unless you know what a JPEG is, boom, liberal. And unless you're Catholic,
unless you own at
monarchist.
least 3 acres of land.
You own at least 3 acres of land, and also, and you're also your dad was in the military and he killed a guy, then you can vote.
Yes.
Tribalism laws.
Oh, okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know anything about
Your
government.
dad was so I've been speaking of forms of government, I've been rereading, no,
Real
sorry.
quick before you go,
Yeah.
octogenarian, help, my octopus is sick. Take take me to the octogenarian.
I hit my,
Stat.
I
Alright,
hit
go
I
ahead.
hit I
Go
hit
ahead.
my, one of my coworkers with a solid pun that it took her, like, 2 minutes to get. So, like, I
Mhm.
sell ads, right? And
Yeah.
ads in the magazine can be horizontal and vertical.
Mm.
And so when you're selecting, she's like going taking me through the contract. She's like, you have to select the orientation of the ad. You have to select the ad orientation. And
Mhm.
I said, is there a choice? Can I pick the versus populum? And
Mhm.
she like stopped and she was like, Patrick's an intelligent person, but he just said the dumbest thing I've ever. Oh, it was
Oh.
very funny. It was very funny.
I can pick my ad orientation. Can I want this one to be gay, please.
Ad orientation. And the H stands for homosexual.
Dude, someone texted me that. They thought that was such a good joke.
I thought it was great too. I don't know
Man,
why I couldn't think of a gay word that starts with H.
I know there's, like, one really obvious
There's
one.
one really obvious one.
Herpes. No, there's 2, I
Yeah.
guess. I don't
HPV.
do gay people get herpes? I guess HPV is the thing that gay people
I think
get.
it's HIV. That's
Oh,
really so you can't joke about HIV. That's real serious.
is it?
Yeah, it's real bad.
Magic Johnson
It's
is
definitely
still
bad.
alive.
That's true.
Okay.
Wait, how did he get HIV?
Well,
Oh, magic. Come on, man. What's
oh,
his full name again? Anyway, moving on.
Irvin.
I guess his wasn't magic.
No. I have beef with you.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot.
You have all of this power, right? You can scrape the whole internet. You can
Yeah.
take as many emails as you want, send as many emails as you want, make up to $50 an hour for yourself and no more. But I haven't seen a reel posted on our page in like 3 days. What's
Oh
going
my
on?
gosh.
What's going
Holy
on?
cow.
What's going on?
First
I
of
uh
all, first
I
of all,
thought
sir,
I
I
thought I
needed a
had
break, okay?
I had firmly and securely hitched myself to your wagon. And now I log onto the app after having it deleted for 4 days. I come to see that you're not doing anything. So, explain
Look,
yourself.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I had to delete it off my phone because it was just mayhem. I had so like it's the 17th. Round 1 of my edits for my book are due in
Mhm.
10 days and
Yeah.
13 days, and I needed to work on my job.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
It's okay,
so
man. I can make reels. I have some
yeah,
templates saved that I'm gonna start cranking some out. Don't worry. I
great.
got you.
That'd be nice if you
I
could do
also
that.
had to delete the app off my phone. It's during the workday because I was just reading what people were saying, and then I was watching other reels, and I was laughing a lot, and I found one of Colonel Sanders dancing, and I was like, "Man, I watched this 55 times," and,
You
so I
can
had to get
tell
off of it.
when I log onto the Instagram, the shared Instagram,
Mhm.
and I go into the Reels scroll, I can tell when you've been on the Reels.
What do you mean? What
They get
what are you trying to say?
significantly weirder.
I don't well, okay, so to be fair, when I get on, when you've been on it, it's just a bunch of, like, self-help, like, how to be better at Instagram reels, and they're just super boring. And
Oh
then
yeah, I get served those all the time, and it's only
yeah,
because I watch a bunch of like Brock Johnson
yeah,
videos, and then
yeah,
they serve me people that just copy. I love how to grow on Instagram because you see these reels that are like how to grow on Instagram, how I went up to 100,000 followers in 30 days. I'm like, great. I would love to know that because I think that's within the realm of possibility for us based on our
mhm,
trajectory of growth.
mhm.
Be true to yourself. Stay consistent. Oh my gosh. Provide value. Shut up. I don't these were all this is the most like just vanilla advice. It's like,
Yeah,
where's Mark when you need him? Where's Mark Royce, the goat?
dude, Mark Rice is the GOAT. I miss that
He's
guy.
so good. I miss him so much. I want to give him a like a big old hug,
I
like a
know, I wanna spend
little
some
noogie on
time
his head.
with him.
I'm going to Chicago tomorrow.
Oh, no way, are you gonna see anybody?
I'm gonna see my aunt-in-law, and I'm going to see my
Disgusting.
friends from college,
Very cool.
and I'm going to see my wife and son. They're gonna come too, and
Oh,
that's gonna be fun.
you're all taking the plane together?
Yep, we're all in a row together
You're not worried that sort of like your dirty, disgusting offspring is going to offend some sensible 30-year-old liberals on the plane?
with her Switch.
Yeah, with their with their Nintendo Switch and their
Whenever I see someone complaining about, kids on planes on Twitter, I just think about that girl who was very audibly disgusted with a crying baby on the plane. I was like, "This is it's performative." I was like, "You're
Mhm,
being performative.
yeah.
There's no way that the child crying 10 rows back is creating this much disgust in you, an
Yeah.
adult."
It's insane to me that adults
Just put on your noise canceling headphones with
yeah,
cat ears and play Animal
yeah.
Crossing: New Horizons.
Don't make fun of people who
Come
have
on.
headphones with cat ears. Katie Ruvalcaba has headphones with cat ears on them.
Yeah, but it just made the whole ordeal ridiculous, you know? Like, Katie has earned the right to wear childish headphones.
Mhm.
This girl who's upset that a kid is being a kid is upset that this child is interrupting her arrested development.
Yeah. The funny thing about it is, like, what are you gonna do? Like, let's say like, you can have your way with this kid. Where are you gonna put him? In the lavatory? That's about the only spot that you could put a child to, like, put him away. Other than that, it's like, this is just we're in just one big tube, you
We're
know?
all here.
We're all here. So, like,
Yeah, you
I don't
can't
know.
deal.
Yeah, I think some people should get sucked out the window of a plane.
Apparently, so did that one guy who opened the plane door while it was in flight.
No, he didn't make it. There's no it's impossible to open a plane door while it's flying. Like
You
like
but it happened.
a commercial jetliner,
Yeah.
the pressure
It
make
happened though. There's a
what do you
video of it.
no, there's not a video of it.
There's a video of the plane door open.
There's a video of a guy charging how when no
Plane
way.
door is open in the video.
I opens plane door.
They must have been below,
Had
you
to
know.
have been. He had to have been. Emergency exit door during a flight in South Korea was formerly arrested. Well, Korea, the air works different there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course. What
I
am I
don't
thinking?
know. Well, I'm just oh, okay, I see it. It must have been like when they were like just taking off or landing or something. But like when you're up in the air,
Oh yeah,
the
obviously.
force on the door is so great that like
Sure.
even someone
Yeah,
as
you
strong
studied
as
engineering.
even someone like Mark Wahlberg couldn't open that door.
Even someone like Mark Zuckerberg.
Dude, beefy guy. Hey, speaking of, I'm gonna tell
Yeah,
this to you and not to anybody else.
sure.
Uh,
I'll lean in close.
I've been going back to the gym.
Oh,
I'm lifting again.
that's good.
Yeah. I signed up for membership. Found
Sweet.
an affordable gym near me, $16 a month. Don't mind if I
Nice.
do. Nice deal. Really close to where my office is. They
Yeah.
have all the equipment that I require for my workouts, and
One single dumbbell.
then I just rotate in various positions around my body. I twirl around like a ballerina, holding it out, pretending like I'm doing something.
It's
Um,
5 pounds.
no, I found a really cool workout on the bodybuilder.com forums. And
Yeah,
so,
man.
yeah, so I'm engaged. I'm prepared. It's in my routine now. So,
That's
I'm
good.
excited.
I'm proud of you.
I'm hoping that maybe one day I'll look different, you know? I can finally stand
Isn't that the goal?
I finally want to stand toe to toe with you and be able to I want to knock you down. We should
Dude, I'm
wrestle.
so I first of all, no. I am I'm not I'm not into it. That would be like that scene in Open Season. I don't know. That's I feel like that's all I need to say.
And you're saying that I'm the dumb deer and you're the smart bear? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I think there's an infinite number of combinations of animated show characters that we are. So like
It's
we're the bear and the deer. We're
we're
from
Bob
Ice
and
Age.
Larry.
You're Manny and I'm Sid the sloth. We're Bob and Larry.
Yeah.
We're in Ratatouille. I'm Linguini, obviously, and you're the little angry chef. The It's just I'm just speaking the truth, man.
I like that that's what you think the duo is in Ratatouille. That's my favorite part of that.
Well, they get drunk
Not
together in that one room, in that one scene.
the rat isn't involved. The
They're
rat
no,
from the Tui
no,
is
I
not
can't.
even involved.
I would never call my friend a rat.
Not even a cute little animated
I'm
rat played by Patton Oswalt.
I'm loyal, bro. Let's see other animated movies. We got let's see here. Oh,
Or Oscar and
Finding
Lenny
Nemo.
from
Finding
from
Nemo.
Shark Tale.
Oh, Oscar and Lenny from Shark Tale. It's been a while since I've seen that. We're Mike and
I don't
Sully
know. I
from
don't know if
Monsters
that one
Inc.
works. I don't know if that one works. Oscar and Lenny, because I don't know which one of us is cool enough to be Will Smith, and I
It's
think both of us are Lenny.
yeah, we're just both Lenny. We're Mike and Sully
Uh,
from Monsters Inc. We're
yeah,
Buzz and Woody from uh from Toy Story.
yeah.
I mean the list goes on. Like
We're
you
Doug and Russell from Up.
oh the dog and the no, you have with your glasses.
I'm
You're
Carl Fredrickson, and
you're
you're all
Carl.
of the other guys.
I'm everyone else.
You're Russell.
I'm
You're
all
the
of the
dog,
500 other dogs on the island that they fly
and you're
to.
the bird.
Kevin. Oh man. In Wally, I'm well you this is hard in
I'm
Wally.
Bernie. I'm
In
Bernie.
Wally it's hard because if you call anybody one of the human characters, you're just like a slovenly, disgusting fat person. It's like I don't want to say that either of us are
I'm not
that.
the captain. I'm not
No.
in charge enough
You're
to be
like
the
the
captain.
AI wheel that takes over the ship and I'm the little plant growing out of the boot. That's the
We've kind of left the reservation when it comes to animal duos in
Okay.
movies.
Well, in Pocahontas, speaking of that,
Robot and plant.
uh, I've never seen Pocahontas, so
Yeah, I don't think there's reservations in Pocahontas either. I don't think they got there yet.
no, they had no reservations about taking out that tribe and that
Yeah,
guy
nothing.
taking his own trad wife in a manner of speaking.
Yeah,
In terms of classic Disney movies, Cinderella's the game these days because the next door neighbor, their girls
yeah.
have been watching Cinderella. And so every time I see them, I go bippity boppity boo, and they just light up. They love it.
They think it's
It's
great.
a cheat code. You just have to say bippity boppity boo, and they're like, bippity boppity. They love. They're just all about it.
Yeah. Speaking of movies,
Yeah,
kids
what's up?
movies, John and Katie are doing that cool little podcast, not sponsored, but like it's kind of good.
Did you listen to it?
I did. I watched like some of their reels.
I got a confession to make.
What's that?
I until I'm on it, I'm not listening.
I was just they have a good podcast presence.
They have a great podcast presence. We should have one or both of them on our show to promote that podcast.
But it shouldn't be John because he asks too much.
This is John Blevins is a friend of ours, if you don't know. And every time we see him, almost without fail, he'd be like, "Hey guys, how you doing? When are you gonna have me on your podcast?" It's like the first off rip first question every
And every
single
time
time
I
we
tell
see
him
him.
like, "Look, we're really bad at scheduling. Standing invite, okay? Just text us
Yeah,
and
I
say
do have
I'm
an
coming
idea.
on."
I do have an
Yeah.
idea for the show, for this
We
podcast that
should
we
we
do.
should just make him come on the podcast while he's streaming.
Oh, that would be nice.
That'd be
Well,
funny.
I was just thinking that we need to have like a like our fall, you know, like we need to have a fall. Like now that the summer's over and everybody's done doing their Catholic speaking thing, and the kids are back in school, we just need to have
Yeah.
all of the famous Catholic speakers that we know on our show and just boost our ratings like wildly.
Just
You know,
boost the numbers.
just
Yeah.
boost the numbers. Get Katie McGrady on here. Get it pains me to say, but we need to have Christopher West on to like address the controversy.
We got to address the controversy,
We
and then
got
I
to
can talk
have
about my book.
we could have who's the biggest? We could get Matt Frad on probably if we tried hard enough.
Probably could. We
We could
probably
get him
could.
on our show.
He did agree to come onto our show
Yeah.
once.
So we'll get Matt on. We'll get John on. We'll get
But it
Katie
was Good
on.
Friday. He was like, "Can you do next Friday?" And it was like Good
Good
Friday.
Friday. We'll just email his assistant. We'll message Thursday on Discord and we'll get him.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah, yeah.
figure it out. But like I think if we just go on an epic run of like all of the biggest names, Tracy Kalesa in the Discord knows Father Mike. So we just use that to get
He
him
said
on.
no.
He said no.
He said no like 2 years ago,
Okay, but we're
but
now
that was before he was the biggest podcaster in the world.
right, so now he has some experience podcasting,
Time.
like, before he was
We
probably
should tag
scared.
we should email him, "Hey, now that you have some experience, you wanna run with the big boys?
Yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
you wanna run with the big dogs? Ooh, ooh."
Hey, our podcast might not be up to your speed because it's sort of like it's like a podcast, you know? I love
It's
that
not
'cause
an audiobook.
I love that, it makes Patrick laugh because no one else gets it. Um, how about
I
instead
was
of the
gonna
catechism in a year, we have a conversation in an hour? What do you think? Could
That's
be
cool.
fun. Could be cool.
Bible in your ear. That was my favorite joke that I
Wow.
made. I took a Bible and I put it in his
Isn't
ear.
it crazy that catechism in the year has done absolutely nothing in terms of, like,
It hasn't
cultural
done absolutely
impact?
not. Yeah.
You know? Like, Bible in a year, it felt like a lot of people were listening to it, a lot of people got into
Yes,
it.
it did.
Catechism in a year, I sleep. Anyway, we've been bantering for 25 minutes. It's a little bit too long.
That's not
Uh,
banter.
we've been bantering.
Really?
Kind of what I would say that we do is we kind of go back and forth and build on each other's jokes to kind of
Oh.
generate a lighthearted, casual atmosphere of conversation, which some would call banter.
It's just so overused in
It is.
clerically speaking that I just don't wanna I just
That's
don't
your
wanna
this is your
use it
mistake.
here.
You gotta stop listening to other podcasts in our
I
niche.
my impression of this has been I think, like, when I was listening last, which was a long time ago, admittedly,
Mhm.
it was that was, like, a topic of conversation they would constantly talk about. Now, I will say, I don't know, I go back and forth on this because like, like, there's, like, the YouTubers, they watch each other's stuff, and they, like,
Mhm.
build on it, but they never do a video based on what another person does. So, I guess, like, that's not a common thing. There was a while where, like, when there was a while you could tell that we were all listening to each other because we kept talking about each other, and yeah, it
Yeah.
was,
Now the only
that was a
people
fun 2 months.
Now the only people I talk about are James Allen, Forbes McCann, Alex Hormozy, and Colin and Samir. Those are the only people I talk about anymore. Those are the only podcasts I listen to. And maybe on occasion, I'm just looking through Conan O'Brien,
Mm.
you know?
Oh,
What's up?
I was saying I talked about this on the Discord. I reread A Man Who Was Thursday. Did you see this on the Book Nook if you're ever in that
Yeah, I
section of
saw
the
that. I've
Discord?
never read this book.
So I reread A Man Who Was Thursday and I realized that I had not actually read it. I read it up until the last chapter and like right before the last chapter and stopped. And the second to last chapter ends with the costumes were not ones that disguised, but they revealed. And I was like, wow, what a great line to end on. Anyway, I wish they went into like what the other what Monday and Friday were wearing and what Saturday was wearing. And they did. He
Yeah,
did in the
you just
next
didn't
chapter.
you just didn't read it.
And the last chapter, gotta say, makes the book make a lot more sense.
You thought it was one of them esoteric novels that you were supposed to not understand, you
Yes.
know,
And so I was like,
like
what's the meaning? And there was
like
nothing
Brave
about
New
the meaning.
World or
Sure.
To Kill a
Everybody
Mockingbird.
poops. Yeah. One of
Mm,
those
yeah,
esoteric novels.
yeah.
But The Man Who Was Thursday, they go have I told you about this book?
Nope.
They go through this whole it's about like these policemen who are trying to like stop anarchy. There's the anarchists. And
Good luck.
this guy sneaks into an anarchy meeting and gets himself elected to the Central Anarchy Council that's all named after days of the week, led by Sunday. And so he becomes Thursday.
Wait. The anarchists have a anarchy council? Is that
Yeah,
meant to be
it's kind
ironic?
of yes.
Okay.
They have a centralized government that
Yeah,
oversees
that's
anarchy.
silly.
And yeah, it's really funny. And it turns out that everybody on the council is secretly a policeman. Yeah.
A
And it was
cab?
the entire thing was they were all recruited by a man in a dark room who turns out to be Sunday. So Sunday recruited all of these policemen to infiltrate the Central Anarchist Council, and he made them go through this whole chase where they were all chasing each other, and they all thought they were going to die. They thought that The other person who's really an anarchist is going to get them. Wait, I'm a police officer. I was trying to arrest you. Wait, we're police officers too, you idiot, and all this stuff. It's a very funny book. But at the end, they're all brought to this mansion and
Mhm.
they're asked to dress up like the days of the week in creation. So like um Thursday is the creation of the moon and the sun, and Monday is the darkness. And the darkness and the sun and the moon get into this big argument. So Monday and Thursday get into this big argument about why Sunday made them go through it all. And they have this he was like, "Why did you make us suffer? Like we suffered so much more than you did. You were just having fun." And the
Mm.
end of the book, Sunday balloons up to the it's a nightmare. It's not really happening. So
Ah,
he balloons up and like he takes up the entire universe, it sounds like, and he says, "Can you drink the cup that can you drink the cup of which I'm going to drink?"
whoa.
Which is what Jesus says to St. John
Mhm.
and St. James. And it the real anarchist comes in at the end, and he's all accusatory. He's like, "You people suffer more than we do." And the whole point is that like Sunday is like God, and he suffers more than us. And so like it was just it was an interesting it was interesting because it was like Chesterton had not converted yet. He wasn't really Christian, and he
Mm.
was dealing with his own like nihilism and
Mhm.
his own feeling of the purposelessness of life.
Mhm.
And this was his response, was like, why does God make us go through all of this? Why is he allowing us to suffer when he just sits there fine, like he's the law? He doesn't have to suffer if he doesn't want to. And God's answer is, I will suffer.
Yeah.
Like that's his response. And so I
Mhm.
just really I liked the book a lot more now. And I was like, I was telling Phoebe, I was like, I think this might be my favorite book. And she
Your
was like,
favorite
Don
book ever?
Quixote. Yeah, she was like, Don Quixote. I was like, yeah, I think even more than that.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a contender. It's a
Dang.
contender.
It does help that it was written
Recently,
recently and
comparatively.
in a way that is like you can understand and like follow as
Yeah.
opposed to Don Quixote, which is
Yeah.
written incoherently for the
But
most part.
both of them, the issue is that Don Quixote, you need to rely on the translator, and you don't for
I
this
saw
book.
a tweet that said Don Quixote, all Don Quixote is a guy pretending to have mental illness to get out of work,
Great.
which I thought was really funny.
Accurate.
Yeah.
Accurate. But just like Don Quixote, Man Who Is Thursday is so funny. It is so funny.
Hmm. As you were talking, can I propose something?
Yes.
I think the closest thing that we've had to a modern day Chesterton, Norm MacDonald.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you not think so?
Go ahead.
Well, I was listening to a radio show that he did years back. Um, and it seems like at the time, I don't know where he was at when he died, but at the time he was in a similar place to where Chesterton was when he wrote The Man Who Was Thursday,
Mm,
because the radio hosts were asking him all these questions and the girl was trying to like psychoanalyze him. And he was being like very upfront, but it was one of those things where he's like telling the truth, but you can't tell whether or not he's joking with you because
yeah.
he is a clown. And so it's like, is he being real? Is he not? This must have been when he knew that he had terminal cancer, but he like didn't share it with anybody ever.
Mhm.
And they were
Mhm.
asking him like, "Well, what do when was the last time you had sex?" And he's like, "I don't know, like 10 years." And they were like, "No way. Norm MacDonald went 10 years. Like, no way. You're telling me you don't go out at the club and like there's some girl flirting with you, don't think like, oh, maybe I'll take her back." He's like, "No, I don't. Like, I find it to be shameful," which is really funny. And they were asking him like, "Well, what do you do for fun?" He's like, I don't know. Like, I read," and like they were getting down to all these things, and he kind of like basically laid out on this 20-minute radio show about how death is inevitable, and if you stretch out eternity, like infinity, and if you take a fraction of infinity, it's zero. And so it's like my life amounts to nothing in the face of like the eternal
Everything. Yeah.
everything, right? And he wasn't being nihilistic necessarily. I think he was just being cynical about it.
Mhm.
And instead of like killing himself or whatever, he just decided to laugh. And they were like, "Well, don't you have anybody that you rely on? Don't you have any friends?" He's like, "No, like why? Like, what's the point of like we're all hurtling headlong towards death. You're telling me that I should reach out to someone and talk to someone? Like, I'll just be, like, grabbing someone and brushing them as we both hurdle towards the end, like, what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just, they were, like, trying to he was being funny the whole time that he was talking about this too. And I don't know, just the way that you described Chesterton at the time that he wrote that book and the fact that it was so funny just makes me think that I don't know if Norm ever had, like, a full conversion to Christ. I kind of think that he did, just based on some of the things that he said before he died.
Mhm.
Um, but it feels like that they were kind of in a similar place at the time, just like this
Mm.
awareness of death, but also an awareness of, like, the absurdity of life and, like, the comedy that just lies in everything and the irony that
Yeah.
you can find. I don't know. I was just thinking
Yeah.
about that.
It is those 2 things are kind of connected because like, just as I think back over the symbolism of the book, it's weird because you find out you kind of intuit it pretty early on, but you think that it's a battle between the man in the dark room and
Mhm.
Sunday, the man
Mhm.
who recruited all of the soldiers, all of the policemen into the secret anti-anarchy task force,
Mhm.
and Sunday, the central anarchist. And you kind of gather that it's like, okay, you didn't see the man's face, you didn't see him. Okay, it's probably gonna be a twist, you know. And Sunday reveals at the end, he's like, "Yeah, I was the man in the dark room who recruited all of you." He's like, "I made all of you." And so the question is like, okay, why did he do it?
Mhm.
Why did he create all of these days if
Mhm.
he didn't need to? And the
Mhm.
days are all fighting him. Like time is
Mhm.
there. It's like the Sunday. They ask him who he is, and he like swells up and becomes like this huge imposing figure. And he's like, look around. You will understand. Try to understand the stars. You'll understand them before you understand me. Like
Mhm.
you'll know you'll know who a star is before you know who I am. And at the end of the book, he says, I am Sunday. I am the Sabbath. I am God's rest." And God's rest existed before the days did, but the days spent all of their time chasing him and trying to defeat him and trying to create order and trying to attack
Mhm.
him. And they did this because they hated evil. Like Lucian Gregory is the only anarchist and the only real
Mhm.
anarchist, and he kind of represents the devil. And they're like chasing evil, and they think that Sunday is evil, but really like he is the one who created all. It's a paradox, right? It's like
Right.
God created all of these days, but they're useless because they're not actually doing anything.
Mhm.
But he created them so that people could participate in him and like experience him, because otherwise no one would experience him. And like he did it freely, he didn't have to. Yeah, it's just the character of Sunday is really interesting because they throughout the book they one of the characters says like, "Well, wow, three of us were police officers and there were three others there, so that means it was three men against three."
Mhm.
And he goes, "Yes, but one of them was not a man." And
Mhm.
it's like, "Oh wow, it was six men against one." And he was like, "If it was 300 against Sunday, he would still win."
Right.
Because that's just how imposing this character is. And they continue like relate him as he's everything. Like he's the entire universe. He's God himself. Like that's how it feels. And yeah, like it just I don't know. There's two ways you could go about it. You could take like the Syme route where or the Lucian Gregory route where he comes in and says like, you did this and it's useless and you're just a tyrant. You're creating these things for no reason. Um, or you could take the Norm MacDonald Chesterton route and say like, it is useless, but that's okay because it all comes back to God's rest, which existed before this, and it all is going back to it, and so that is good.
Was, was Norm or not Norm, was Chesterton was he an atheist before he was Christian?
I don't think so, but I think he was tempted to it.
I
That's
think
the vibe that I get from Chesterton.
I think so there's obviously a great gift in being born Catholic, being baptized, like having access to that grace from a young age. But I
Mhm.
also think that there's like a wrestling that we miss out on sometimes, or we just like take it for granted. So as you were talking, I was thinking about I heard this on a Catholic Stuff You Should Know a long time ago. but it's this concept from Heidegger, the idea of thrownness, like the
Like
humans,
being thrown.
yeah, humans' individual existences is being thrown into the world, like existence in the universe is kind of thrust upon us, like we're just kind
Hmm.
of tossed into the void, and it's like, here you go.
Yeah,
And it's like
have fun.
if and it's that idea that you're kind of talking about where it's like the same God who threw us in here is also like, all right, now come back, you know? And
Yeah.
it's like, well, you put us here and there's all this crap that you want us to do and like you're asking us to do. And then on top of that, there's all these other things that we have to deal with. And you're
Hmm.
saying that we have to like also like you're but also you did it for us. Like you did it to us, but you also did it for us, is
Hmm.
like the question. And I think when you were raised Christian, you don't really look at it that way. You look at it like, well, God loves us and he made me and I love him and I go to church and I sing this song
Yeah.
and it's very fun. But if you're coming at it from a different angle, maybe you like were only nominally Christian and you fell away or you just never had Christianity. It's like wrestle with the idea that like, okay, this thing that I'm experiencing of like my life every day and this impending death that's coming for me, that's come for every other person that's ever existed. This is like good, to like stop and be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this is good." And it's not just good in the grand sense. It's good for me. Like like all of this was made for me to be happy and like to be with this God forever in like a relationship of love and all these things. It's like to go from the kind of the being thrown, but then having nowhere to go to, well, I've still been thrown, but now at least there's like love at the end is like a really crazy turn to make at any point
Yeah.
in your life.
Yeah, that wrestling is uncomfortable because there's risk of being hurt and there's like this human fear of being wrong. I think that's why Chesterton's pre-conversion stuff is not as well read by Catholics. Like
Mhm.
Catholics love Father Brown and they love heretics and orthodoxy and the everlasting man and St. Francis Assisi and Thomas Aquinas and all that stuff. Like people don't really read Notting Hill or Thursday or because it's like it's confusing because
Mhm.
it's an unfinished worldview. It's a half baked conversion, and it's a little scary
Mhm.
because it's not there yet. But it's okay
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're half baked too,
Oh,
Patrick.
I'm baked, baby. Yeah, I think it's hard for people to read
In
something.
Oklahoma, I bet
It's the
there's a
clay,
dispensary on every corner.
much like the red clay in the ground gets baked by the hot sun.
The hot
I
Oklahoma desert.
I too eat an edible brownie and I get high on my porch. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wave at the police officer as he drives by and he shoots me in the chest. No, the cops here are good. I don't think all cops are bastards. I just think some of them are. Just
There's just a few
statistically,
bad apples. There's just a few
just
bad apples.
statistically, one or two has to be born out of wedlock. Like they can't.
All cops are born out of wedlock.
All cops are. That's what the B in ACAB
All
stands for.
cops cannot inherit the throne.
Whoa,
Yeah,
is that what that means?
sort of.
You don't
It's
mean the throne of
implication.
heaven.
No,
You mean like a throne
I
down
mean like a
here.
hereditary monarchy.
Man,
Yeah.
if only that's the way it worked.
If only the monarch was elected by random, like we get jury duty, randomly you get assigned king. Someone should write a book where that's the plot.
Where you get randomly assigned king. Isn't that what the papacy is?
No, that's Napoleon of Notting Hill. That's what happens in Napoleon of Notting
Napoleon,
Hill.
and he does a dance in front of everybody for student council voting.
The Napoleon of Notting Hill is a Chesterton book, and
Mhm.
it starts off 100 years after Chesterton dies. So it takes
Uh-huh.
place in 2018, or no, that's 1,000. Yeah, yeah, it takes place 2018 or something. It takes place in the 21st century,
Mhm.
and nothing has changed in pre-war England, which is just funny because like a couple of years after he wrote that, the world changed forever. So, but anyway, but the only thing that has changed is that the monarchy is still there. It's just it randomly picked, like a guy
Mhm.
becomes king,
Yeah.
and a guy becomes king, and he decides to make every suburb in London its own city state. And
Hey,
this one
hey,
guy takes it way too seriously.
hey, Gilbert Keith, you think I could throw this here football over the mountains?
That's the Napoleon Dynamite of Notting Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
Thank you. I'm just trying to make a reference. That's all that I have for the show. I don't have anything else for this program. I'm ready to do the other show. It's past my bedtime.
If you think this episode was worth a cup of coffee, donate $10 a month on Patreon, and we will thank you by giving you another show completely free.
Can I want to do something real quick. I want to thank by name the people that signed up this week. Can I do that?
And I want to wish nothing but ill upon the people who deleted this week. I'm just kidding.
Oh no, I'm not logged in on this machine.
We'll do it at the dating corner.
No, I'm going to do it right. Oh, we need to keep your account is secure. We need to verify this device. We send an email to patln3@gmail.com. Open the link in the email to continue. You know what? I'm going to tweet Patreon right now. Say at
Just the
Patreon.
word Patreon.
At Patreon. Let me in.
Come on, we
Uh,
gotta go dating corner. Come on.
we're gonna do the dating corner. I'm just stretching it to 45 minutes, and we're
It's not at
there.
45 minutes yet.
Yeah, we just hit 45. Didn't
Oh,
it feel
okay.
like we packed so much into such a small container?
That's because we're professional podcasters. We don't just
Right.
read the Bible.
Right.
Come on, we come up with our own original content that's not inspired by the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
So take that, Father Mike.
If
Please come
you
on our
have,
podcast.
I'm gonna take a page out of Bobby Althoff's book right now. If you have, it's not important. You don't know ball. I do. So if you know a famous Catholic speaker or anyone that's famous, I will pay you a non-negligible monetary sum to so that we can interview them on our show.
You're offering a finder's fee to our audience?
That's what she did. That's how she got Drake on her 4th ever episode. She interviewed
That's pretty
Drake. It
cool.
got 10 million views.
That's crazy.
And then she deleted it. And then she
Why?
and Drake unfollowed. I think it was all marketing. She and Drake unfollowed each other on Instagram. And so now there's all these uploads of the deleted Bobby Althoff and Drake interview. And so it's getting even more traction and people are making more clips because it's like, well, why did they delete it? It's like, it's everyone's saying she's an industry plant, but I just think she has a really good marketer working for her.
Yeah, that's real smart.
So like she had Drake, Mark Cuban, Lil Yachty, and like she had less than 10 episodes on her show and she was interviewing like these huge people. Um,
That's awesome.
But how she got it, she said to her audience, "I'll pay anybody $300 if you can get me with someone famous. Doesn't matter who, just $300. I can't pay you $300, but it will be you will get a finder's fee if you can get us someone famous on this show." So
I'll take it.
it's patreon.com/thecrunch. Patrick, do you have anything else for the people?
Tune in next week when I finally become the Marquis of Melbourne.
Thank you all for listening. Please pray for us. We will be praying for you, and we'll see you next week.